My son sent me a message, "You're not going on the cruise with us, it's a family-only trip." I read the message once, twice, 3 times. The letters flashed across my phone screen like tiny blades. "You're not going on the cruise with us, it's a family-only trip." My son. My Sebastian. The boy I carried for 9 months, the one I breastfed through endless nights, the one I defended from everything and everyone, he had just told me I wasn't part of his family. Before continuing, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and tell me where you're watching from. I dropped my phone on the kitchen table. The sound was sharp, like something breaking from the inside. Outside it was raining. It always rains at the worst times, doesn't it? As if the sky wanted to share your pain with its own tears. I stared out the window, watching the raindrops slide down the glass, and for a moment I thought maybe I should cry too. But I couldn't. The pain was so great it couldn't even be contained in tears. Sebastian was 32 years old. He had been married for 5 years to Carolina, an elegant woman, one of those who always smelled of expensive perfume and never had a hair out of place. At first, I tried to get closer to her. I really tried. I cooked for her, offered to help with the house, gave her things I thought she would like. But there was always a distance. A polite, courteous coldness, but a distance nonetheless. As if I were a tolerated visitor, not her husband's mother. When my granddaughter Emma was born 3 years ago, I thought everything would change. I thought that baby would be the bridge between us. I remember the day I met Emma at the hospital. She was so tiny, so perfect. She had Sebastian's eyes, those dark eyes that looked at me with such trust when he was a child. I held her so carefully, as if she were made of glass, and I felt my heart expand in a way I hadn't felt in years. "You're going to be a wonderful grandmother," Sebastian told me that day, kissing my forehead. I believed him. The first few months were wonderful. I visited them 2 or 3 times a week. I brought them food, helped with the baby's clothes, and looked after Emma when they needed to rest. Carolina seemed grateful, though her smile never quite reached her eyes. Sebastian was happy. I was happy. I thought I had finally found my place in this new family dynamic. But things began to change so subtly that at first I didn't notice. The visits became less frequent. When I called to ask if I could come over, Carolina always had an excuse. "Emma is sleeping. We have plans. Today is not a good day." Sebastian stopped answering my calls as often. The messages became shorter, colder. One afternoon, about 6 months ago, I arrived unannounced. I know I shouldn't have, but I hadn't seen Emma for 2 weeks, and I missed her so much it physically hurt. I rang the doorbell. I heard voices inside, laughter. I rang again. Silence. I knew they were there. I saw someone's shadow move behind the living room curtain. I waited 5 minutes on that porch, in the afternoon sun, feeling like an intruder in my own child's life. Finally, Carolina opened the door. "Oh, Marta. I didn't know you were coming. I wanted to see Emma. I haven't seen her in a long time. She's asleep. It's not a good time." Behind her, I heard Emma's laughter. That unmistakable little girl's laugh. Carolina didn't even blink. "Maybe another day," he said, and closed the door. I stood there, staring at that varnished wooden door, feeling something break inside me. It wasn't just the rejection. It was the lie. The ease with which he lied to my face, knowing I knew the truth. I drove home crying. I cried so much I had to pull over in a parking lot because I couldn't see the road. I felt invisible. Erased. As if the last 32 years of my life, all those years of love and sacrifice, meant nothing. That night I called Sebastian. "Son, I need to talk to you." "Mom, I'm busy. Can it be tomorrow?" "It's important." She sighed. That sigh that tells you you're a nuisance. "Okay. Tell me." "I went to your house today. Carolina told me Emma was asleep, but I heard her playing. Why did she lie to me? Why can't I see my granddaughter?" Silence. A silence so long I thought the call had been cut off. "Mom," she finally said, in that tired voice she used when she wanted to end a conversation, "Carolina has her reasons. She's raising Emma a certain way and she needs space. You have to respect that." "Respect what? I'm her grandmother. I have the right to see her." "It's not about rights, Mom. It's about what's best for our family." "Our family. Not the family. Ours." As if I weren't part of it. "And what am I, Sebastian?" "You are my mother. You always will be. But you need to understand that my priority now is my wife and daughter." I hung up. Not because I was angry. But because I was speechless. How do you explain to your son that what he just said broke your heart? How do you tell him that choosing your wife doesn't mean abandoning his mother? The following months were a silent hell. I kept trying. I sent messages asking about Emma. Sometimes Sebastian replied with monosyllables. "Fine. Growing up. Everything's normal." Other times, not even that. I sent Emma's birthday presents. I never received confirmation that she'd received them. I called at Christmas. Carolina answered and told me they were very busy with her family, that maybe we'd see each other later. It never happened. I became an expert at pretending everything was fine. When my friends asked about Sebastian and Emma, I smiled and said they were doing great, very busy. When my sister asked why I didn't mention them as much anymore, I changed the subject. The shame of admitting that your own child has cut you out of their life is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. And then that message arrived. The one from the cruise ship. It turns out that Sebastian, Carolina, and Emma were going on a Caribbean cruise. 2 weeks. I found out because Sebastian posted it on his social media. Photos of the tickets, of Emma excited with her new suitcase, of Carolina in sunglasses talking about family time. I saw it all on my phone, feeling like a stranger spying on the lives of people I didn't know. I sent them a message. I saw you're going on a trip. How lovely. I hope you have a wonderful time. Sebastian's reply came 2 hours later. Thanks, Mom. I waited. I waited for him to say something more. To invite me. To at least acknowledge that it would be nice if I were there too. But nothing more came. So I did something I'd never done before. Something desperate. I sent her another message. I'd love to join you if there's room. It's been so long since I've spent time with Emma. I saw the 3 dots that indicated he was typing. They appeared and disappeared. They appeared and disappeared. Finally, his reply arrived. You're not going on the cruise with us, it's a trip just for the family. And there I was. In my kitchen. With the rain beating against the windows. Reading those words over and over again, as if reading them enough times could change their meaning. I got up. I don't know why, but I got up and went to Sebastian's room. Yes, I still call him that, even though he hasn't lived here for years. I still have some of his things. Photos from when he was a child, soccer trophies, drawings he made in elementary school. I sat on the floor, surrounded by these memories, and finally I cried. I cried for the little boy who hugged me every night before going to sleep. I cried for the teenager who came to tell me his problems. I cried for the man who once told me I was the most important person in his life. Where did Sebastian go? When did I lose him? I spent that night awake, looking at old photos. There was one that especially broke my heart. Sebastian was about 5 years old. We were at the park. He had fallen off the swings and scraped his knee. He cried so much. I carried him all the way home, wiping away his tears, telling him everything was going to be all right. In the photo, we're at home, him with his knee bandaged, me kissing his forehead. He's looking at me with those eyes full of absolute trust. As if I were his whole world. I wondered if he remembered that day. I wondered if he remembered all the times I protected him, comforted him, put his needs before my own. I wondered if any of it mattered now. The next morning, I made a decision. I was going to his house. I was going to talk to him face to face. Because this message, this exclusion, this couldn't be left like this. I deserved an explanation. I deserved for him to look me in the eye and tell me why I was no longer part of his family. I arrived at her house at 10 in the morning. Carolina's car wasn't there. All the better. Maybe I could talk to Sebastian alone. I rang the doorbell. I heard footsteps. The door opened. Sebastian was wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. He looked tired. When he saw me, his expression changed from surprise to something that seemed like resignation. Mom, what are you doing here? We need to talk. It's not a good time. There's never a good time, Sebastian. But we're going to talk anyway. He stood there, blocking the entrance. For a moment I thought he was going to slam the door in my face. But finally he stepped aside. Okay. Go in. The house was spotless, as always. Carolina had a knack for making everything look perfect. Framed photos adorned the walls. Elegant furniture. Not a trace of clutter. I sat down on the sofa. Sebastian remained standing, arms crossed. Where is Emma? I asked. At Carolina's parents' house. She's going to stay there for a few days while we prepare for the trip. Of course. With the other grandparents. The grandparents who were considered family. Sebastian, I began, trying to keep my voice steady, I need you to explain what's going on. Why are you pushing me away? What did I do wrong? He sighed. He ran his hand through his hair. A gesture he'd made since he was a child when he was nervous. You didn't do anything wrong, Mom. Then why? Why can't I see my granddaughter? Why am I not welcome in your life? Yes, you're welcome. It's just that, things are different now. Different how? She finally sat down, but she didn't look at me. She kept her gaze fixed on the floor. Carolina feels that, you're too intense. That you always want to be involved in everything. That you don't respect our space. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Intense? Sebastian, I'm your mother. It's normal that I want to be part of my granddaughter's life. I know. But Carolina grew up differently. Her family is more distant, more independent. And she wants to raise Emma that way. And you? What do you want? Finally, he looked at me. And in his eyes I saw something that broke me more than any words: guilt. I want my marriage to work, Mom. I want Carolina to be happy. And if that means setting some boundaries, then that's what I have to do. Limits? Is that who I am now? A limit? Don't put it like that. How do you want me to put it, Sebastian? You're telling me that to make your wife happy, you have to push your mother away. You're telling me I'm not part of your family. You are my mother. You always will be. But I'm not family. You made that clear in your message. The cruise is for family only. He remained silent. That silence gave me the answer I needed. I stood up. My legs were trembling, but I forced myself to stand firm. Do you know what the saddest thing about all this is, Sebastian? It's not that you're pushing me away. It's that you're not even fighting. You're not even trying to find a balance. You simply chose the easy way out, making Carolina happy at your mother's expense. It's not that simple, Mom. Yes, it is. It's exactly that simple. And one day, when Emma grows up, when she has her own family, you'll understand what it feels like. You'll understand the pain of being replaced, of being considered less important than a cruise ship, of being erased from your own child's life. Mom, you're not being fair. Fair? I laughed, but it was a joyless laugh. I spent 32 years of my life raising you alone after your father left us. 32 years working 2 jobs so you wouldn't lack anything. So you could go to college. So you'd have everything I never had. And now you tell me I'm not being fair because I want to be a part of my granddaughter's life. I appreciate everything you did for me. You know that. No. I don't know. Because if you were truly grateful, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I headed for the door. Sebastian followed me. Mom, wait. Don't leave like that. I stopped. I turned to look at him. That 32-year-old man who was still my baby, no matter how tall he was or how distant he had become. I'm going to tell you something, Sebastian, and I want you to listen carefully. I'm not going to beg for a place in your life. I'm not going to plead for scraps of attention. If you and Carolina have decided there's no room for me in your family, I'll respect that. But don't expect me to stay silent. Don't expect me to pretend this isn't destroying me. And above all, don't expect me to be here waiting when you finally decide that maybe, just maybe, your mother deserved better. Mother, enjoy your cruise, son. I hope it's worth it. I left that house with my head held high, but as soon as I got to my car, I broke down. I cried so hard my whole body ached. I cried for everything I had lost. I cried for the relationship that would never be the same. I cried for my granddaughter, who was growing up without really knowing me. The following days were the darkest of my life. I didn't leave the house. I didn't answer calls. I sank into such deep grief that sometimes it was hard to breathe. I saw the cruise photos on Sebastian's social media. Emma in her life jacket, smiling. Carolina with a cocktail in her hand, perfect as always. Sebastian in sunglasses, hugging his family. His family that didn't include me. One night, around 2 in the morning, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I wouldn't normally answer, but something made me pick up. Martha? It was a woman's voice. Older. I didn't recognize it at first. Who is speaking? I'm Beatriz. Carolina's mother. I sat up in bed. Why would Carolina's mother be calling me at 2 in the morning? Did something happen? Are you okay? Everyone is fine. They're still on the cruise ship. I needed to talk to you. I know it's late, but I couldn't wait any longer. What do you want to talk about? I heard a sigh on the other end of the line. I want to apologize. I wasn't expecting that. Apologize for what? For my daughter. For what he's done to you. For what he's made Sebastian do. I remained silent, processing her words. Marta, I raised Carolina a certain way. A way that I now realize wasn't right. I raised her to be independent, to not need anyone, to maintain emotional distance. I thought I was protecting her. I thought I was making her strong. But all I did was create a woman who doesn't know how to love completely, who doesn't know how to let people in. Why are you telling me this? Because I saw what he did to my relationship with her. Carolina and I aren't close. We never were. And now I see he's doing the same thing to you. He's pushing Emma away from you the same way I pushed her away. And it's not right. It's not right, Marta. I felt tears running down my cheeks. I just want to meet my granddaughter. I just want to be a part of her life. I know. And you deserve to be. But you need to know something. This isn't about you. It never was. It's about Carolina and her own demons. It's about her inability to share, to trust, to let someone else be important in Emma's life. But Sebastian chose her. He chose to make her happy over maintaining a relationship with me. Sebastian is trapped. He's trying to keep the peace in his marriage. But that doesn't mean he doesn't miss you. It doesn't mean he doesn't know this is wrong. How do you know all this? Because I spoke with him. A week ago. He came to my house. He was devastated. He told me he didn't know what to do. That he loved Carolina but missed his mother. That he felt guilty all the time. That Emma kept asking about you and he didn't know what to tell her. My heart raced. Is Emma asking about me? All the time. She asks about her grandmother Marta. She asks when she's going to see you. And Carolina always has an excuse. There's always a reason why they can't visit you. But Emma remembers you, Marta. She misses you. I closed my eyes. Thinking about Emma asking about me, missing me, broke my heart in a new way. I don't know what to do, Beatriz. I don't know how to fix this. You can't fix this on your own. Sebastian has to make a decision. He has to find the courage to set boundaries with Carolina. To tell her that her mother is important. That Emma needs her grandmother. But in the meantime, don't give up. Don't disappear from their lives. Keep trying. Keep sending messages. Keep sending gifts. Because one day, Emma will grow up. She'll ask questions. And she'll want to meet you. And when that day comes, you need to be there. What if that day never comes? It will come. I promise you. It will come. We talked for almost an hour. Beatriz told me about her own regrets, about how she wished she had been different with Carolina. She told me about how she saw her daughter repeating the same patterns she had taught her. And she gave me something I didn't know I needed, hope. When we hung up, I felt different. It still hurt. I still felt rejected and hurt. But there was a small light at the end of the tunnel. A small chance that this wasn't the end. I decided to write Sebastian a letter. Not a text message. A real letter, handwritten, with everything I needed to tell him. Dear Sebastian, I began. I wrote to him about everything. About how I felt. About the pain of being excluded. About the memories I had of him when he was a child. About how I never, not even in my worst nightmares, imagined we would get to this point. But I also wrote to him about love. About how, despite everything, he was still my son. About how he would always have a place in my life, no matter what. And about Emma. About how I wanted to be a part of her life, how I wanted her to know me, to know that she had a grandmother who loved her deeply. I ended the letter with these words: I'm not asking you to choose between your wife and your mother. I'm asking you to find a way to love us both. I'm asking you to be the man I know you can be. The man who doesn't give up in the face of adversity. The man who fights for what's right. And if you decide you can't do that, I'll accept it. But I'll never stop being your mother. I'll never stop loving you. And I'll never stop waiting for the day you can look me in the eyes and tell me you're sorry. I sent the letter. And I waited. 2 weeks passed. The cruise ended. I saw the photos from the return trip. Emma was tan and happy. Carolina was radiant. Sebastian looked tired. There was something in his eyes in the photos. Something that wasn't there before. One afternoon, 3 days after they returned, there was a knock at my door. I opened it. It was Sebastian. Alone. Without Carolina. Without Emma. Just him. We looked at each other in silence for a moment that seemed to last forever. I received your letter, he finally said. And, can I come in? I stepped aside. He came in. He sat on the same sofa where I had breastfed him as a baby. Where I had read him bedtime stories. Where we had had thousands of conversations over the years. You were right, he said, looking at his hands. About everything. I've been a coward. I've let Carolina dictate how our relationship should be. I've prioritized her comfort over your pain. And that's not right? What changed? Emma. One night on the cruise, we were on deck looking at the stars. And suddenly she asked me, Daddy, why don't we see Grandma Marta anymore? And I didn't know what to tell her. I tried to explain that we were busy, that it was complicated. But she looked at me with those innocent eyes and said, but I miss her. Doesn't she miss me? His voice broke. And that's when it hit me. I realized I'm doing to her what was done to me. When Dad left, when he decided he didn't want to be a part of our lives, it broke my heart. And I swore I would never do that to my daughter. But that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm depriving her of her grandmother. I'm depriving her of your love. And that's not right? Did you talk to Carolina? Yes. We had a very difficult conversation. I told her that this had to change. That you are important. That Emma needs to meet you. She didn't take it well. She said I was letting myself be manipulated. That you were trying to control our lives. But I stood my ground. For the first time in a long time, I stood my ground. What now? We're in therapy now. Both of us. Because I realized this is bigger than just our relationship with you. This is about how Carolina relates to people. About her fears. About her insecurities. And if we're going to make this marriage work, we need to work on that. Me too? He stood up. He walked towards me. And for the first time in months, he hugged me. A real, strong hug, full of everything I couldn't say with words. You're my mother, she whispered against my shoulder. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made you feel unimportant. I'm sorry I excluded you. I'm sorry for everything. I cried. We cried together. We cried for all the lost time. For all the unnecessary pain. For all the words that should have been said sooner. Can I see Emma? I asked when we finally parted ways. She's in the car. She's been waiting. I told her we were going to visit you and she kept asking questions the whole way. My heart skipped a beat. Is he here? Now. She nodded with a smile. The first genuine smile I'd seen from her in months. We went out together. Emma was in her car seat, playing with a doll. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. Grandmother. Sebastian pulled her out of the car. She ran towards me with that energy only 3-year-olds have. I knelt down to be at her level. She threw herself into my arms. I missed you so much, Grandma. I missed you too, my love. More than you can imagine. I picked her up. She weighed more than the last time I'd seen her. She'd grown so much. But she was still my Emma. She still had that smile that melted my heart. Can we make cookies? She asked, touching my face with her little hands. We can make all the cookies you want. We went inside the house. The three of us. And for the first time in a long time, I felt that maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. It wasn't easy. It took Carolina and me months to reach an understanding. There were more difficult conversations. More tears. More moments of frustration. But little by little, we built something. It wasn't perfect. It probably never would be. But it was functional. It was respectful. And most importantly, Emma had her grandmother back in her life. I learned so much during that process. I learned that sometimes love isn't enough. That families are complicated. That people bring their own traumas and fears into relationships. I learned that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, but it does mean choosing to move on. I learned that being a mother doesn't end when your children grow up. That you'll always want to protect them, love them, and be there for them. But I also learned that sometimes you have to let go a little. Trust that they've taken the lessons you taught them and that they'll find their own way. Today, 2 years after that devastating message about the cruise ship, Emma and I have a beautiful relationship. I see her every week. We bake cookies together. We read stories. We paint. She tells me about her school, her friends, her dreams. And I tell her about her dad when he was a little boy. About how he was mischievous and sweet at the same time. About how he made me laugh even on the hardest days. Carolina and I will never be best friends. We'll probably never have that close relationship I imagined. But we respect each other. We talk. And most importantly, we both love Emma and want what's best for her. And that, at the end of the day, is what matters. Sebastian and I healed our relationship little by little. There are still scars. There are still moments when I remember the pain of those months of exclusion. But there are also moments of laughter. Of complicity. Of genuine love. He tells me he's proud of me. That he admires my strength. That he feels he knows me better now than before. And I believe him. Sometimes I think about that message. You're not going on the cruise with us, it's a family trip. And it hurts. It always will. But it also reminds me that I survived. That I didn't give up. That I fought for my place in my sons' and granddaughters' lives. And that, in the end, it was worth it. Because family isn't just blood. It's choice. It's effort. It's being there in difficult times. It's forgiving when it hurts. It's loving even when you're not loved in the way you need. It's finding a way to coexist, to respect, to build bridges where there were only walls before. Emma is 5 years old now. The other day she asked me if I had ever felt sad. I told her yes, that sometimes life makes you feel very sad. She asked me what I did when I felt like that. I told her I thought about her. About her laughter. About her hugs. About how lucky I was to be her grandmother. I think of you too when I'm sad, Grandma, she said, hugging me tightly. Because you always make me feel better. And there, in that moment, I knew it had all been worth it. Every tear. Every sleepless night. Every moment of pain. It had all been worth it for this. For being the grandmother Emma needed. For being present in her life. For being a part of her world. I learned that true love isn't always easy, but it is persistent, and that the deepest wounds can heal if you give them time, patience, and the will not to give up.